and we are starting chapter 6 today. So, first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, having 19 chapters and 3 dialogues. And basically, the subject matter of the first canto is the speaker and listener, Shrota and Vakta. So first 3 chapter is a dialogue between the Suta Goswami and Sanakadi Rishi. And the subject is how to benefit the people of Kali Yuga. The next 3 chapters is a dialogue between Narad and Vyasadeva. And the subject is Vyasadeva is not satisfied and despondent, therefore he wants Narad to satisfy him. And the rest of the first canto, the listener is Parikshit Maharaj. The dialogue is the main listener. The purpose of listening is approaching Krishna, of becoming associate of Krishna. And the speaker is appearing in one chapter is Sukadeva Goswami. So the best speaker is the Sukadeva Goswami and the best listener is Parikshit Maharaj. And they both are the Acharya of Shravana and Kirtan Bhakti. So, at the end of 5th chapter, at the end of 3rd chapter, Sanakadi Rishis, they asked at least 3 questions or 4 questions. The first question about when Bhagavat appeared, where it appeared, and by whose inspiration it appeared. The second question was, how come Sukadeva Goswami was not staying at a place, any place for more than 7 minutes, how he studied 18,000 verses? And the third question is, Parikshit Maharaj was so young, an emperor of the whole planet, why he renounced everything and was sitting at the bank of Ganga? So these are, to answer these questions, the dialogue between Narad and Vyasa is answer to the question, when Bhagavata appeared at the beginning, at the end of Dwapar Yuga. Where it appeared? Badrika Ashram, Samaprayash, Vyasadeva Ashram. Who compiled Vyasadeva? On whose inspiration? Narad. So this first question is continuing now, still in this chapter, where Devrishi Narad is revealing his own realizations to his dear disciple Vyasadeva. When Guru is pleased with his disciple, he reveals his own realizations. So that is our subject matter today. After this, to glorify the listener of Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj, his 3 generations of motherhood are glorified. 3 generations of Bhagavat Matajis, Uttara, Draupadi, Kunti. All 3 are Mahabhagavata Naris. And because of their devotion and dedication to Krishna, a personality like Parikshit appeared, and for which Bhagavat incarnated. And then there is a glorification of three paternal side of Parikshit Maharaj, Bhisham Pitama, Yudhishthir Maharaj, even Dhritarashtra was delivered. And then the birth, death, and activities of Parikshit Maharaj are described. And in the last chapter, Sukdev Goswami appears. So this is the overview of first canto. Now the sixth chapter, conversation between Narad and Vyasadeva. And Narad, and this is the name Srila Prabhupada has given to this chapter. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Narad achieves perfection. Because in this chapter, Narad's two births are described. And how many births of Narad are in the Bhagavatam? 3. First, he is Upabranshta Gandharva. And he was not glorifying Supreme Lord, therefore he was cursed to become a son of maid servant. In Kanyakubaj's place, he appeared as a gop, Durmal gop, is a son of a Durmal gop, something like that. And then he has a second birth of a 5-year-old boy, maid servant son, which we have already discussed. And he was blessed by Bhaktivedanta for Chaturmasya, 4 months. Now, very interesting question. Here, Vyasadeva is asking. Very same question in 7th chapter, Sanakadi Rishi will ask. And what is the interesting about this question? After Narad departed, now Vyasadeva is asking, when the Bhakti Vedanta departed, what did you do? And in 7th chapter, Sanakadi Rishi will ask, after Narad departed, what did Vyasadeva do? So, this question is very interesting for me. Why such question is asked? Because usually when the spiritual master is personally present, we are very enthusiastic to do everything perfectly and wonderfully. But as soon as the spiritual master leaves, we forget everything. This is interesting question that what did they do when their spiritual master left? Were they following the instruction properly? It's a very interesting question. This is a question actually we should ask among ourselves. When the Gurudev is here, we are too enthusiastic and in a high spirit, but as soon as Gurudev leaves, we become lazy and little lethargic and not very active. So this question is for personal application actually. It's a very important question. So now Vyasadeva is inquiring further from Narad, because Narad stopped in 5th chapter. And he was testing that is Vyasa has any eagerness to know something more. So Vyasadeva become eager and he started asking some questions. And he's asked, this is the question, what did you do after your Bhaktivedanta who instructed you, they left? This is the most important one. So Narad is now revealing what he has done. So this section, there are 5 sections. Vyasadeva inquire about Narad's previous life, the one section. The second section is Narad's appearance to Narad. Lord's appearance to Narad. It means He has seen Krishna within his heart. Then the third section is Lord's instruction to Nard. It means now Lord disappeared from the heart, and Nard is trying to see him again, but he only heard Lord speaking to him and never saw again in this life. And then the fourth section is Nard attained perfection. It means he left the material body and gained the spiritual body simultaneously, and he got the special instrument Veena from Supreme Lord. And the last part, Nard's conclusion, glorify Lord. So Nard now glorify Lord and leaves the place. So these are the 5 sections in this chapter. There are 38, I think, there are 38 verses. चल नहीं रहा ये मैं दूसरे तरीके से बताऊं ठीक ऐसे आ जाएगा okay this I think you might have this breakup of these verses like this. So chapter 6 conversation between the Nard and Vyasa is the name of the chapter by Srila Prabhupada. First 4 verses are the question asked by Vyasadeva to Nard. And in these questions, he is asking about his previous life. But there are 2 more questions. One important question is, how come he remember something from the past body? When you left body, you must forget everything. How you are remembering that? Why is your memory still? And Prabhupada's purport is some extraordinary words, I think, when we discuss. I think this is a good topic to discuss. Prabhupada has written super mind, super consciousness. Prabhupada has written, and this whole canto Srila Prabhupada has written before iskcon was established in Vrindavan. So his terminology is not typical iskcon prototype terminology. So this is the earlier compilation of Prabhupada, first canto. So there are 3 things in these 4 verses. Life after initiation, it means Bhakti Vedanta, they blessed him and then they left. Then attaining this body means the spiritual body. And remembering the past life. These are the 3 questions by Vyasadeva to Narad. So Narad will explain what he has done after the Bhakti Vedanta left, after initiating him. So he was traveling. But the most important in this is his mother's disappearance he considered benediction. It means material lamentation disappeared. So this is the realization of Nard. And then next he saw the Lord. The next section is 5 to 10 verses. Nard speaks about his mother's departure. This is the section when Nard is realizing his experience after getting initiated. He was not disturbed by mother's death. Anugraha, he said, Anugraha me. I am being actually favored by Lord. Because my mother was concerned for me. She could not do anything. And I was only the object of affection. So she left, it means I am free now. Then the next section, 11 to 19, Nard's life. Nard's life, meditation and vision of the Lord. So this is the section where he was walking through in the different forests and ultimately sitting at a pond when he was tired, and then he was using the method given by the Bhakti Vedanta to meditate, and he was meditating, and then he saw the Lord in the heart and he was very happy. And after that, Lord disappeared. So that section is 20 to 25. The Lord instruct and console Nard. So then Lord is speaking. So these are the words of Bhagavan to Nard. And this section, you cannot see me again in this life. Even little bhakti is also great. Even time factor cannot destroy it. This is actually verse number 24. That is the answer to the question how Narad remembered past life. And then the next section is 26 to 33, Narad's full perfection. And that is Narad started chanting and eventually met with death and got a spiritual body. And he traveled everywhere glorifying the Lord with his Veda. That is Narad's perfection. And the last section, Narad concludes and departs. Most suitable boat to cross the material world, constant chanting of the Lord's holy name. This is the practical advice to all of us. And no satisfaction by any other path except bhakti, no yoga, no karma, anything. So this is the overview or breakdown of the chapter. Now we will actually study all the verses one by one. Anybody has any question or comment till now? Hari? Shru mein bhiksha? Yes. Hare Krishna. When Veena was?
Musical instrument Veena. Veena.
What about Veena?
Was awarded by Lord Shiva and Lord Krishna.
Krishna. That verse will come. So we are starting the first word. So you can chant with me together. Sutta vacha. No, it's not response. Together. Evam nishmaya bhagavan devarishir janam karmacha bhuya prapachatam brahman vyasa satyavati sutta. So Sutta said, O Brahman, thus Brahman means Brahmu. Thus hearing all about Shri Narad's birth and activities, Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God, Vyas, incarnation of Lord, and the son of Satyavati inquired as follows. Who is the name of the father of Vyasadeva? Parasar and Satyavati. Okay. Now this is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's comment. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes in 6th chapter, Narad describes how he went to the forest to see the Lord. This one line is very important. Why to go see the Lord in forest? Forest is in mode of goodness. Lord is beyond 3 mode of goodness. Therefore, he is considered apakwa. You are not mature. Why don't you find Lord everywhere? Why only in the forest? So he went to the forest to see the Lord, and hearing his words, means Lord spoke to Narad, and later received a spiritual body. This is the total subject of the whole chapter. Srila Prabhupada writes, Vyasadeva was further inquisitive to know about the perfection of Naradji. And therefore he wanted to know about him more and more. In this chapter, Naradji will describe how he was able to have a brief audience with the Lord while he was absorbed in transcendental thought of separation from the Lord, and then it was very painful for him. So he saw the Lord, and then he has a separation from Lord, and then he heard Lord speaking. Next verse. Vyas vacha diviksho bhi विप्रवसिते विज्ञानादेश्रिभिस्तव वर्तमानो वयसाद्य तत किम अक्रोध भवान. So Srila Vyasdev asked question, what did you do after the departure of great sages? After the gurus left, what did you do? And who had instructed the gurus, sages, who had instructed you in scientific transcendental knowledge? Scientific transcendental knowledge. Prabhupada writes, Vijnana. The word Vijnana in the verse is scientific, realized knowledge. Who instructed you in realized transcendental knowledge? Which verse we should think of? What the Guru gives to the disciple. Devya Gyan Hriday Prokashita. Devya Gyan Hriday Prokashita. Tad Vijnanartham Gurum Eva Abhigaccheta. We have to go to the spiritual master to get a realized knowledge. We go to the books, we'll get just knowledge, not realized knowledge. The difference between the realized knowledge and knowledge is the person gives the realized knowledge. Divya Gyaan Dadatu. Spiritual master gives the transcendental knowledge. So, before the beginning of your present birth, so before you got the spiritual body, in your last body of a maid servant son, what did you do? This is a question. Chakravarti Path writes, Viparvasite means departing from there. And lack of samprasana is a point. Okay. Since I am your disciple, I desire to know, therefore I am asking. It means, and then there's a one word in the purport by Srila Prabhupada, there is a question for you. Sadharma priyacha. You see, the last line of the translation of purport. Sadharma priyacha. What is the meaning of Sadharma priyacha? The disciple should have a transcendental inquiries from a spiritual master. That is called Sadharma priyacha. This desire to inquire from the spiritual master to an essential factor for a progressive path. This process is technically called Sadharma priyacha. Which verse is coming in your mind? Tadvidhi pranipatena pariparshanena. Pariparshanena doesn't mean, what is the meaning of pariparshanena in the Bhagavad Gita? Word to word meaning. Transcendental inquiries. Pari, transcendental. Prashanena, ask question not about worldly things, question about transcendence. That's called pariprashanena, means question about transcendence. And that inquiry is called Sadharam Priyacha. So the question is Sadharam Priyacha. What is Sadharam Priyacha? Now the verse number 3. This is another question. Swayambhavaha kaya vrittya vartitam te param vayah katham chedam udasarakshahi kale prapte kale varam. O son of Brahma, Swayambhave. Swayambhave means Brahma, son of Brahma. Swayambhu is Brahma, Swayambhave, Kunti Konteya. Swayambhu, Swayambhave, son of Brahma. How did you pass your life after initiation? And how did you attain this body? Having quit your old one in due course. Idam Kalevaram, this body refers to the body born from the maid servant. How did you give up that body? So this is the verse how you gave up the body given by maid servant and how you got this spiritual body. Srila Prabhupada writes, Nad Muni in his previous life was just an ordinary maid servant son. So how he becomes so perfectly transformed into the spiritual body of eternal life, bliss and knowledge is certainly important. Vyasa desired him to disclose the facts for everyone's satisfaction. So why Prabhupada writes the last line, for everyone's satisfaction? It means Vyasa is also incarnation of Lord. He is not an ordinary person. So he knows what is a spiritual body. But he wants everybody to understand the body, so what Satchidanand body is. Now this verse 4. Prak kalpavishyame tam smartim te muni satam naheshah vyadaddat kala esha sarva nirakriti. This is a very important question. The purport is very interesting. Oh great sage, Narad. Time annihilate everything in due course. So how is it that this subject matter which happens prior to the day of Brahma is still fresh in your memory, undisturbed by time? Very important question. Chakravartipal writes, Navyatita means did not separate, but the implication is time did not separate your form, the memory, and did not destroy the memory. Srila Prabhupada's purport now we will discuss. Now Prabhupada is writing, as spirit is not annihilated even after the annihilation of material body, very simple. Soul is not destroyed when the body is dead. So also the spiritual consciousness is not annihilated. Srinath developed this spiritual consciousness even when he had his material body in the previous kalpa. Kalpa means day of Brahma. Now Prabhupada writes some words which you try to meditate, and we would want to discuss this. Consciousness of material body means a spiritual consciousness expressed through the medium of a material body. This consciousness is inferior, destructible and perverted. But super consciousness of the super mind in the spiritual plane is as good as the spirit soul and is never annihilated. Now you read this purport on your own and try to analyze what it means actually. Think about this. What do you think? What is Prabhupada writing? Soul not destroyed, affected by time. Body destroyed, okay. Now, there are two types of consciousness Prabhupada is writing. A polluted consciousness expressing through the material body is destroyed when the body is destroyed. Then the pure consciousness of the soul, because consciousness is symptom of soul. Now what is this super mind and super consciousness? What is that? But we don't remember that. दूसरे जन्म में जाती तो है लेकिन हम याद नहीं करते उसको. ये तो इसको याद है सब. But these two words, super mind, super consciousness. And this consciousness is not described. Now, this is the 24th verse. Lord is speaking this. Now see the 24th verse. Lord says, intelligence engaged in my devotion cannot be thwarted at any time. Even at the time of creation as well as at the time of annihilation. Your remembrance will continue by my mercy. The answer to this question is in verse number 24. Basically, it is by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. I mean, I don't know exactly what is the Prabhupada meant by super mind and super word. Huh? Super mind and super word. What Prabhupada meant by this, I don't know. But I guess like soul and super soul. The super soul is a basically when somebody is liberated, then his subtle body is also finished. So you don't have a mind with him, you don't have intelligence with him. So what is then only consciousness he will carry with you. But subtle body is made up of. And fourth thing, remember now, polluted consciousness. Chitta. Man, buddhi, ahankar, chitta. Subtle body has a fourth dimension. And each has a presiding deity that we will know in fourth canto. Chitta Vasudev. Chitta ka presiding deity of the Chitta is Vasudev. For Ahankar is Sankrishna. And Pradyumna are energized for the intelligence and mind. Vasudev is for Chitta. And Sankrishna is for Ahankar, false ego. And Pradyumna and Aniruddha are the, which is for mind and for intelligence, you search. These are the two. Sometimes, say, Chandrama, Mansa, Jata, Prabhupada writes, mind, the moon is presiding deity also. So,
You said polluted consciousness.
polluted consciousness is in a material body. When one is liberated, then he has a purified consciousness or Krishna consciousness. That he will carry with him. It means Narth carries the purified consciousness, not contaminated by the material body, material mind, material intelligence. So the 24th verse again we will read and see the purport, how he remembered that. Basically, if it's super soul who make you to remember, not you yourself. So super mind and super consciousness, like I say, like soul and super soul. So mind and super mind means ultimately is the super soul who remind us. Mat samritir gyanam apohanam cha. If I want, I will make you to remember. If I don't want, I will make you to forget. It means ultimately Krishna said, I will make you to remember by my mercy. So when Prabhupada says super mind and super consciousness, it is the mercy of the Supreme Lord that he remind him of his past life. It's not by his own endeavor. But Prabhupada is saying consciousness was purified from material to the spiritual. Okay, this has the very little technical words, super consciousness, super mind, inferior consciousness, superior consciousness. So what is inferior consciousness? Consciousness expressed through material body. It means consciousness focus on I and mind. And super consciousness means consciousness of the soul as the eternal servant of Supreme Krishna. That is purified consciousness. Eternal servant of Krishna. Therefore, Krishna reminds us. And we remember. Now, Nad's answer. We are going to the next section. Next section, Nad's realization of his mother's departure. This section. Narada Vacha Vibhukshobhi Viparavasite Vigyana Adishtir Vir Mama Vartamano Vayasyadhyai Tata Etad Akaracham. Srinath said, the great sages who had imparted scientific knowledge of the transcendent to me, same word Vigyan. departed for other places, and I had to pass my life in this way. What is the way? He will describe in next verse. Akarsam. Akarsam in okay. It is said that this is Sanskrit, we have nothing to do. Srila Prabhupada's purport. In the previous verse, when Naradji was impregnated with spiritual knowledge by the grace of the great sages, there was a tangible change in his life. Although he was only a boy of 5 years, Vaya means age. In the words, the word is Vaya means age. There is an important symptom visible after initiation by the bona fide spiritual master. What is that symptom which is visible after initiation? Irrespective of age. Tangible change. Usually it says when we meet the sadhu or a spiritual personality, two things happen. One thing, there is a change in our life. Second thing, the time passes, we never notice. Time stands. You don't want to, maybe 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 years, you don't want to leave that place. You don't want to leave the association of a sentient person. It means time stops and you get a tangible change in your life from material towards spiritual. Your goal different. Before you have a material goal, after meeting saintly people, your goal becomes spiritual. That is a tangible life. It means any material disaster will not disturb you. That is a tangible change. Material disaster will not disturb you. Now this saying, Ekatma jame janani yoshim mudha chakim kari mayatma je ananya gattau chakare sneha anubandhanam. Now this is the Narad is saying, I was the only son of my mother, who was not only a simple woman but a maid servant as well. Kinkari. Gopis are saying we are kinkari. Kinkari means kim karomi. You stand folded and ask, what should I do? Kinkar means kim karomi, what should I do? So she was a maid servant in some Brahman's house. I was her only offspring and she had no other alternative for protection. She bound me with the ties of affection. It means she wanted to protect me and she has no means to do that. But she has to do this. So she had only one son, myself, Ek Atmaja. Now Narad is saying, Sasvatantara na kalpashid yogakshemam mamichati ishasya hi vashe loko yo chadharo mai tatha yatha. She wanted to look after my maintenance properly, but because she was not independent, she was not able to do anything for me. The world is under the full control of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, everyone is like a wooden doll in the hands of puppet master. Now, Narad has this tangible change. He is not blaming that my mother was not taking care of me. Like ordinary child, if they tell why my father has not done anything for me. But he's saying, we all are a puppet in the hands of Lord, because it was Lord's desire. So what can she do? It was our karma. It's a puppet. Because she was dependent on others, she could not protect me. Na kalpa. So then what happened? Aham cha tad brahma kule ushi vansa tad upekshaya digadesha kalavayo tapano balakah panchahayana. Now, Brahma Kule means at that house of a Brahman. When I was a mere child of 5 years, Pancha Haya. Haya means Pancha Hayana, years. In experience with time, place, and direction, I lived in a Brahman house with the belief that she would never leave me. Aham cha tad Brahma Kule. Kule means house. Brahma Kule means Brahman's house. So she was serving some Brahman. Ushivansa tada upekshaya, hoping that she will protect me. Digadesh kal, I don't know actually time, place, and circumstances because I was child.
This would letter,
But
Brahma school.
Brahman school is sometime written, but actually he was living in Brahman's house. Brahman Kule. Otherwise, the word should have been Guru Kule. Where school, then Guru Kule. He was not educated at all. Narad, you will say, I am not educated. Now this is the tangible change in Narad's life. Ekada nirgatam gehat duhanim nishagam pati sarpo adashit padas prishtaha kripanam kalachoditaha. Ekada, once upon a time, Nigadatam, she left Gihad. She went out of the house. Why? Duhitim Nishi, in the night. Duhitam means to milk the cow. Gama Pati, on the path in a village. Sarpo Adashat Pad Sprishta, her foot touched the snake and she was bitten. Kripana Kala Chodita. And what the snake can do? He was inspired by time. Kripanam, Prabhupada writes, Kripanam, this poor woman was bitten by the snake because of the arrangement of time. Once upon a time, my poor mother, when going out one night to milk a cow, was bitten on the leg by serpent influenced by supreme time. It means by the desire of Supreme Lord. That is the way of dragging, Srila Prabhupada's purport. That is the way of dragging a sincere soul near to God. The poor boy was being looked after only by his affectionate mother. And yet the mother was taken from the world by the supreme will in order to put him completely at the mercy of the Lord. Very similar story is there. Anybody can remember some similar story? Prabhupada, that is the way of dragging a sincere soul near to God. Nearer to God.
People go away instead of coming near to.
Sorry?
If it happen like this, people go away instead of coming nearer to God.
So the bandhana, the bondage is, we don't want to really cut the bondage, but Krishna in the form of time cut the bondage for sincere soul that we can be attached to Krishna. Once Krishna and Arjuna, they visited a very pious, devoted lady having a cow and was a great Krishna bhakta. They went to the lady's hermitage. She took care of Krishna and Arjuna very nicely, gave her some milk, butter, everything. And when they were leaving, she said, well, Krishna bless me. Krishna said, all right, I bless you. So when they came out, Arjuna said, oh Krishna, what blessing you gave to the mother? Say, I bless that her cow should die. What is this blessing? See, because now she's old, she's taking care of the cows, so she's taking half time in that. Now when cow will die, then whole time she will worship me. So this is my blessing to this devoted lady that her cow should die. This is the type of blessing Krishna gives. When? When he wants to drag somebody, sincere soul, near to himself. So he take away those things, and that's what Prabhupada himself is the example. A self-driven car in 33 was not possible for most of the people in India. And he was so opulently maintained at that time, and then everything this was just going out of the hands, and ultimately he become even rejected by his own family members and everybody. And then Prabhupada realized that when Krishna becomes very favorable, then he does like that. So similarly, either it is wealth or is most dear and near, or whatever Krishna will take away, it's not for ordinary devotee. It's only for the self-realized souls. In the beginning, Krishna gives you something to attract you towards himself when you are new devotee. But when you become really more advanced, then he will take away everything. To see that now you can depend fully on Krishna. Then again, he will give you more than you expect. So Krishna gave to Prabhupada everything in the childhood. Then he took away everything, and then he gave him whole world. So when new devotee, when Krishna take away something, we cry. But when we are more advanced, even not in age, but we are properly trained, like Narad, most affectionate thing, if we lose, we will not worry. Krishna desire this, so it's okay. Because Krishna wants us to bring near to him. Now the next. That is the way of dragging a sincere soul. Now complete mercy. Now this is Nard's realization. In verse number 10 is Nard's realization. Tada tada aham ishasya bhaktanam cha adhbhutta anugraham manyamana pratishta disham uttaram. Anugraham manyamana. I considered this is a special benediction. Prabhupada, anugrah, special benediction. I took this as a special mercy of the Lord, who always desire benediction for his devotees. Bhaktanam sham abhipshita. And so thinking, I started for North. North actually means Badrik Ashram, this side in Himalaya. Considering the death of my mother as the mercy of the Lord. This is actually tangible change after a spiritual initiation. Greatest loss is not disturbing. I departed to the north. He did so without performing her funeral rites. Prabhupada writes, confidential devotees see in every step a benedictory direction of the Lord. It was, I think, 71 war. Somebody asked Prabhupada, did Pakistan throw bombs onto where you are? He said, I think Krishna is coming in the form of bomb. Krishna is coming in the form of bomb. So, confidential devotees of Lord see in every step a benedictory direction of the Lord. Krishna so desires, then he can send me bomb, no problem. Without sanction of Krishna, nothing can happen. So, confidential devotees of Lord see in every step a benedictory direction of the Lord. The benediction is always, Krishna is always giving us his mercy. We may not recognize it, recognize or may not recognize. He is all good, he is always merciful. What is considered to be an odd or difficult moment in the mundane sense is accepted as a special mercy of the Lord. Mundane prosperity is a kind of material fever, and by the grace of Lord, the temperature of this material fever is gradually diminished, and the spiritual health is obtained step by step. Mundane people misunderstood it. Is there anything about this mundane fever you have studied in your curriculum in Bhakti Shastri? Isha Upanishad. In one verse, Prabhupada writes, all this material, prosperity and everything is like a fever. You get more, then the fever goes up 910, then you die. It means you decrease the fever, not increase the fever. We need actually the normal life. So this fever analogy is in Isha Upanishad. Anybody now remember? Huh? Go and find out in one of the mantras, the fever analogy is there. Material fever, we should not try to raise the material fever. We should not, it's not in this. It's after verse 4, 5 something. But this analogy is there full-fledged, almost half page. This is a question of Isha Upanishad. What is the fever and how to reduce the fever? So we should not be happy if the fever is rising. We should be happy if the fever is decreasing. So what is the fever? Material prosperity is a fever. If it decreases, it means we are getting healthy. That's what Prabhupada's analogy is here. Now Narad is speaking about his travel. I think this is the next session, right? Spittam janpadam tatra pura gramaha vrjakaram khet kharvata vatischa vananya upavanani cha. Now these are the words actually Sanskrit. Better we understand what is the meaning of pura, what is gram, what is vrjakaran, what is khet, what is kharvat, what is vatis, and one, upavan. These are the words which are in Sanskrit for, say, which you can say geography of some place. After my departure, I passed through many flourishing metropoles, pura, towns, village, animal farms, mines, agricultural land, valley, flower garden, nursery garden, and natural forest. Now, Chakravarti Padaraj gives the name of these. 4 verses are connected together with the following general structure. Leaving behind the inhabited areas, I continued walking and saw a large forest. Pura means capital cities. So this is the definition of Pura, Hare Krishna. Definition of Pura by the Shastra. What is Pura? That place where Brahman and their servant live is called Gram. It also refers to the living place of Shudras. Vraja means cow shed. Akaran means mines, from which jewels are dug. Khet means farming village. And Kharvat means village on the side of a mountain. Like Bhrigu says about this. When the villages and towns situated on the river or mountain become mixed together with one, as one is called Kharvat. Vati means garden of flowers and betel. Vanani refers to group of trees growing together by themselves. Upvanani refers to group of trees which are planted. I think this is a technical word. What is Upvan? Which we plant the trees. One, natural trees. So this our vocabulary, we should know how these all words are used in our Sanskrit language. Now, Srila Prabhupada's purport says, man's activities in agriculture, mining, farming, industries, garden, etc., were all on the same scale as they were now. Even previous to the present day, present creation, and the same activity men as they are even in the next creation. But Prabhupada want to say, in the previous day of Brahma, when Narada was a baby, the 5 year, there was villages, there were towns, there were agricultural land, there were one and open, everything was there. Now everything is there. When the next Brahma's life, it will be there. It means this is a natural material world is made up of all these things. So there's no, they are same. After many hundreds of millions of years, one creation is started by the law of nature, and the history of the universe repeats itself practically the same way. The mundane wrangler wastes time with archaeological excavation without searching into the vital necessities of life. This is Prabhupada's sarcastic remark. Why you are wasting time before 5,000 years before people make to use the homes and live in them, and they were using agriculture? Why you are wasting time? You use your time for vital necessity of life. It means devotional service. Don't waste time on mundane archaeology and other things. So there's no need to research that there was agriculture before or not. It was always there, and it's going to be always there. So this is Prabhupada's sarcastic comment. After getting an impetus in his spiritual life, Sri Narad, even though a mere child, did not waste time for a single moment with economical development. Although he passed towns and villages, mines and industries, he was not interested in any of them. He continually went on to the progressive spiritual emancipation. What does this mean? Spiritual emancipation. The emancipation means liberation. He was searching for liberation, actually means establishing in his own swarup. What you were giving answer to what?
इसके बारे में जो लोग खोज कर रहे हैं आपने भी खोजना नहीं चाहिए, हमें भगवान भक्ति करनी चाहिए। तो आपने पहले से बताया था कि लोग संसार में जल के बारे में खोज रहे हैं। जल कभी खत्म हुआ है ना होगा, ये हमेशा रहेगा।
Everything is same. Newspaper में news क्या है? कुछ nothing is new. Only same thing, new man, new place. आदमी मरा, ट्रक से मरा, कल भी ट्रक से मरा था, आज भी कार से मरा, पहले इस रोड पे मरा था, अब इस रोड पे मरा। न्यू क्या? नथिंग इज न्यू। सेम थिंग रिपीटिंग अगेन इन डिफरेंट प्लेसेस विद डिफरेंट पीपल। थिंग वही है, न्यू कुछ भी नहीं है। There's nothing new. He continually went on to the progress of spiritual emancipation. Srimad Bhagavatam is the repetition of the history, which happened some hundreds of millions of years ago, as it was said there, hence, here and before. Only the most important facts of histories are picked up in the and recorded in this translated literature. So Bhagavatam is continuous. This Bhagavatam only appeared when Vyasadeva actually revealed it. Before that, there was no Bhagavatam. What do you think? Huh? Say Bhagavatam is not different than Bhagavan. Bhagavan is eternal, Bhagavatam is eternal. Bhagavan appears and disappears, Bhagavatam appears and disappears. What is the proof? Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, this Bhagavad Gita was earlier also I gave to sun god, then it disappeared. Now again I am giving to you. It means Bhagavad Gita is not that only when Krishna gave in Kurukshetra, it was before also. So like Bhagavad Gita was before, but Krishna is there, Bhagavad Gita is there. Sometimes it appears, sometimes it disappears. So Bhagavatam sometimes appears, sometimes disappears. It appears in the pure heart of Vyasadeva, but it is eternal. It's a nitya, nirva. It is a pravaha rupa. It is continuous. Verse 12. चित्रधातु विचित्राद्रेन भगनः भुजद्रोमान् जलाश्यान् शिवज्जलान् नलिनीः सुरसेविताः चित्रः स्वनैः पत्रः रथैः विभ्रमद् ब्रह्मर्षयः. Okay. I passed through hills, Adri, mountain full of reservoir of various minerals like gold, silver and copper, and through tracts of land with reservoir of water filled with beautiful lotus flowers, fit for the dungeon of heaven, decorated with beautiful bees and singing birds. I was not attracted by all of them. Gold was there. I was not attracted. Beautiful gardens were there. I was not attracted. That's what Chakravarti Pad writes. There were mountains resplendent with silver and gold, and trees whose branches were broken by elephant. Bhaga. The word is bhagan. Bhagan means broken. Ibha means elephant. There were ponds with auspicious water and lakes. Nalini. Nalini generally means the lotus. What type of lakes are they? The lakes were beautiful with bees, one here and there, roused by the sounds of the birds. Patra rathaihi. Birds, this is another word for patra rathai. They're moving with the feather. The grammatical sense of these verses is, passing all these towns and lakes, I saw the dense forest. Stamba means clumps of grass. Amar Kosha explains, Ven vaha kichakaha te surye swantya anilo udhata kichaka. Kichaka is a hollow bamboo which makes noise when blown by the wind. Ghoram means, this is the next verse. He is passing through this area. Malavenu sharastamba kushakicaka gavaram eka evatiyato am adraksham vipinam mat ghoram pratibhyakaram vyalolo shivajiram. I then pass along through many forests of rushes, bamboo, reeds, sharp grass, weeds, and caves, which were very difficult to go through alone. I visited deep, dark, and dangerously fearful forests, which were the play yards of snakes and owls and jackals. Now the first verse says gold and beautiful lakes. It is something which attracts us. And this verse says something fearful, we don't want to go there. So I was free from rag dvesh. I was not attached to the alluring things, and I was not afraid from the fearful things. So this is also a tangible change in a life of a devotee. It's a difficult, I don't want to go, no. It was fearful, but I was fearless. It's a place for snake and owls and jackals, but I was not afraid. So this is the tangible change after initiation. Not allured by the tempting and very attractive things, and not actually fearful of dangerous places. हाँ
तो वहाँ पे जा रहे हैं, अगर हम अपनी रक्षा खुद नहीं करेंगे वो तो काट ही लेगा ना, तो कैसे इसको समझें?
उसके हृदय में भी परमात्मा है, और उसको कहेगा कि इसको मत काटो, अगर आपको डर नहीं है तो आपके पास नहीं आएगा। Anyway, the point is that अब बहुत खतरनाक जगह आ गई इसलिए मैं नहीं जाऊंगा, वापस घर जा रहा हूं, ऐसे ही डिड नॉट थिंक लाइक दैट। मुश्किल कोई जगह है नहीं जाऊंगा ऐसा नहीं सोचा, जो है अच्छा है तो भी अच्छा है, बुरा है हमारा कोई मतलब नहीं। आई एम नॉट अटैच टू आइदर अ बैड थिंग और अटैच टू द गुड थिंग, इज टू बी डिटैच फ्रॉम बोथ गुड एंड बैड। राग द्वेष विमुक्ता नाम यति नाम यत चेत साम, इसलिए प्रभुपाद लिखते यति, ये जो मेडिकल है, इट इज द ड्यूटी ऑफ ए मेडिकंट परिवज्जक आचार्य टू एक्सपीरियंस ऑल वेराइटीज ऑफ गॉड्स क्रिएशन by traveling alone through all forest, hill, town, village, etc. To gain faith in the God and strength of mind, always as to enlighten the inhabitant with the message of God. So there are two purposes. Class English है कि नहीं, आप हिंदी है वैसे? Okay. All right. So, सन्यासियों को भिक्षु गीत और ये कुछ भाग दिया जाता है भागवत से। Once we went to the चार धाम यात्रा, हम गए थे सन्यासियों के साथ, और सब सन्यासियों को जाना चाहिए इन जगहों पे, पता लगे कि ऊपर से नीचे देखने में डर कैसे लगता है, पानी कितना ठंडा होता है, उसमें नहाना कितना मुश्किल है, ये सब एक्सपीरियंस होना चाहिए साधु को। ये साधुओं के लिए मैंडेटरी होना चाहिए। और ये मंत्र सन्यासी जपते हैं जो 11वें स्कंद में है, 11th कैंटो का एक पार्ट इनको जपना है कि कैसे भिक्षु सब जगह से जाता है। तो प्रॉपर द टू फंक्शंस, क्यों जाना चाहिए ऐसी जगहों पे, व्हाई शुड वन गो? नंबर 1 टू गेन फेथ इन गॉड, तो भगवान सब जगह है ना, तो ही विल प्रोटेक्ट मी वेयरएवर आई एम। एक साधु अपने जीवन ने लिखा था कि मैं हिमालय में कहीं चला गया था, चलते चलते मेरा पांव टूट गया, गिर गया कहीं से, आप रास्ते में पड़ा था, कोई आएगा जाएगा, कोई नहीं, मर जाऊंगा या। भगवान का सुमरण करने गया था, सुमरण कर रहा था, क्या कर सकता हूं। सुबह उठा, उससे पहले गरम हलवा और पूरी किसी ने लाके आगे रखा। मैंने बोला भगवान ऐसे जंगल में भी हलवा पूरी खिला सकता है, तो भगवान के ऊपर विश्वास हो गया। अब टांग टूटा हुआ था, 4 आदमी काम करने जा रहे थे, वो मेरे को उठा के उस वहां से लेके कहीं आके पहुंचा दिया, और तब मैं पांव बांध दिया और ठीक हो गया। वो अपने जीवन की कहानी बता रहा है, तो भगवान के ऊपर विश्वास हो गया ना, कैसी भी स्थिति में भगवान छोड़ेंगे नहीं, वहां हमारा सहारा बन जाएंगे। एक तो ये हुआ, व्हाई वन शुड गो इनटू ऑल दीज प्लेसेस, टू हैव फेथ इन गॉड। दूसरा, एंड स्ट्रेंथन द माइंड, इसका मतलब मन के अंदर से भय खत्म हो जाए, मन निर्भय हो जाए। स्ट्रेंथन द माइंड, फ्लिकरिंग माइंड स्टेब्लिश हो जाए। ये 2 तो हुआ पर्सनल, और उससे ज्यादा ये है जन्म सार्थक करने के लिए, परोपकार के लिए क्या है, टू एनलाइटन द इनहैबिटेंट विद मैसेज ऑफ गॉड। वहां जो लोग रहते हैं उनको प्रचार करें, तो अपना भी फायदा है, वहां रहने वालों का भी फायदा है। सो मैं उस वक्त, आज से मेरे ख्याल में 10-1 साल पहले हम गए थे, मेरे घर सुना, ये केदार की सुनामी से पहले गए थे, तब भी हमने ये देखा था कि उत्तराखंड में पर्टिकुलरली 4 धाम में इस्कॉन का और चेतना महाप्रभु का कहीं कोई प्रचार नहीं है। और अभी भी हम होके आए 2 धाम से, ये दोनों जगह पे प्रचार नहीं है। ये बड़े बड़े 4 धाम है, लाखों लोग जा रहे हैं, इतनी बड़ी भीड़ है, इस्कॉन का प्रचार वहां नहीं है, न महाप्रभु का नाम नहीं। और यहां जाना चाहिए इसलिए 2 काम, भगवान के ऊपर विश्वास के लिए, मन को बलिष्ठ करने के लिए। वहां के लोग, और वहां के लोग पहले इतने धर्मात्मा थे कि उसको देवभूमि कहते थे। अब सारे के सारे हमने यहां जाके उनको इतना कमर्शियल कर दिया है कि अब वो सिर्फ लूट पाट के तरह कुछ नहीं, जो 5 की चीज 50 में देते, क्योंकि उनको कोई सही रास्ता, देवभूमि में रहते हैं, उनके पास भगवान की कृपा है, लेकिन इस वक्त उनका हाल ये हो गया। किसी को जाके वहां प्रचार करना चाहिए, भंडारा चलाना चाहिए गर्म हलवे का। हाँ हाँ
6 महीने तो बर्फ से भरा होता है, 6 महीने तो
भाई 6 महीने भी अगर हम चाहें तो रशिया में 6 महीने बर्फ गिरती है, बंद नहीं होता है रशिया, सब चलता है। वो घर ऐसे बना सकते हैं जो गर्मी और सर्दी नहीं लगती। वो रोज वहां, यहाँ हम रोज झाड़ू निकालते हैं, रशिया वाले सुबह उठ के बर्फ हटाते हैं रास्ता बनाने के लिए। उनको बेलचा उठाएंगे, बर्फ हटाएंगे दोनों तरफ, इतनी इतनी बर्फ दोनों तरफ, बीच में से इतना रास्ता बनाते हैं जाने के लिए। मेरा जो 6 महीने चलता है तब जाके प्रचार करना चाहिए, तो ये गॉड के ऊपर विश्वास होगा, मन स्ट्रांग होगा, उन लोगों को ऊपर प्रचार होगा, किसी न किसी को करना चाहिए। अब प्रभुपाद जी लिखते हैं, ए sannyasi is duty bound to take all these risks without fear. And the most typical sannyasi of the present age is Lord Chaitanya, who traveled in the same manner through the central Indian jungles, enlightening even to the tiger, bear, snake, and deer, elephant, and many other jungle animals. In this age of Kali, sannyas is forbidden for ordinary men. One who changes his dress to make propaganda is a different man from the original ideal sannyasi. What are the things which are not allowed in Kali Yuga? One is sannyas. There are 4 things. कल युग में निषेध है क्या? एनिमल सेक्रीफाइस, गौमेध यज्ञ, अश्वमेध यज्ञ नहीं। दूसरा संन्यास। तीसरा नियोग। नियोग अगर बड़ा भाई नहीं रहे, जैसे व्यास देव ने पुत्र उत्पन्न किए, ऐसे नहीं करना है कल युग में। और चौथा भी एक है, क्या है? 4 है मेरे ख्याल में, नियोग, संन्यास, एनिमल सेक्रीफाइस, और चौथा क्या है? चौथा कुछ है मेरे ख्याल में, 4th वन है। नहीं मिला? गूगल गुरु नहीं बता रहा है? हाँ,
offering of flesh to the forefathers. Offering flesh to the forefathers.
गोमेध यज्ञ वो नहीं, वो तो है, वो तो एक ही बात है। और भी है, ढूंढ लेना।
Google is called offering the flesh to the forefathers is prohibited in Kali Yuga.
और पर्टिकुलरली पुराने जमाने में पशु बलि देते थे अपने पितरों को, वो हो सकता है निषेध हो, मेरे को वो नहीं लग रहा है। प्रभुपाद ने लिखा है किसी न किसी परपट में है कहीं ना कहीं। ओके, Prabhupada is not a show business sannyasi, but what should be sannyasi? One should, however, take the vow to stop social intercourse completely and devote life exclusively to the service of the Lord. The change of dress is only a formality. Lord Chaitanya did not accept the name of sannyasi. What is it? इसका क्या मतलब है? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not accept the name of sannyasi. इसका क्या मतलब? सन्यासी उन्होंने भारती से दीक्षा ली ना, केशव तो उनको भारतीय होना चाहिए ना, उन्होंने ब्रह्मचारी का नाम ही रखा श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य, सन्यास का नाम ही एक्सेप्ट नहीं किया, सन्यास का नाम एक्सेप्ट नहीं किया और डंडा भी नहीं लिया भारती से। नहीं तो उनको भारतीय होना चाहिए ना, जिसका शिष्य हो उसका भारती हो, सरस्वती हो, पुरी हो, गिरी हो, ये जो 10 नाम सन्यासी हैं, उन्होंने सन्यास का नाम नहीं एक्सेप्ट किया, ब्रह्मचारी का नाम रखा। सन्यास लेते हैं तो चोटी काटते हैं, चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने चोटी रखा, ब्रह्मचारी का नाम रखा श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य, ये ब्रह्मचारी का नाम है, नाम भी चेंज नहीं किया सन्यास का। चेंज द नेम sannyas, and in this age of Kali, the so-called sannyasi should not change their name, former names. अब कल उनके नेम बदलना नहीं चाहिए सन्यासी वाला। Following in the footsteps of Chaitanya, in this age, devotional service to the hearing and repeating holy name of Lord is the strongly recommended, and one who takes the vow of renunciation of family life and need not imitate parivajika acharya like Narad and Lord Chaitanya, but may sit down at some holy place and devote his whole time and energy to hear and repeatedly chant the holy name, scripture left by the great acharya like Six Goswami of Vrindavan. प्रभुपाद जी कहते हैं सन्यासी को एक्सपीरियंस ये करना चाहिए, लेकिन दिखावा भी नहीं करना चाहिए। नारद या चैतन्य महाप्रभु की तरह वे शेर नहीं सुनेंगे उनकी कथा, तो कम से कम बैठ के शास्त्र पढ़े वृंदावन में ऐसी अच्छी जगह पे। अब next verse number 14. Thus traveling I felt tired, both bodily and mentally, and I was both thirsty and hungry. So I took a bath in the river, lake, and also drank water. By contracting water, I got relief from my exhaustion. A traveling mendicant can meet the needs of the body, namely thirst and hunger, by the gift of nature, without being a beggar at the door of householders. The mendicant therefore does not go to the house of householder to beg, but to enlighten them spiritually. ये कैसे आपके जीवन में आप प्रैक्टिकली अप्लाई करेंगे? How you apply this in your life practically?
Not attached to the facilities, the house. If you are going for preaching, we should not be attached to the facilities, even by better house. Householder.
हाँ, और
When we go for preaching, our mood should be that the person accept Krishna consciousness. It should not be just taking donations from them and things like that. The other motive should be that they should be attached to Krishna.
Okay.
Krishna consciousness.
Our motive should be this.
लोग हमको बेगर न माने। लोग कहते हैं कि आप तो बैग लेकर आते हैं, हाथ में 30-40 हजार रुपये वाली घड़ी होती है, मोबाइल दो बड़े बड़े मोटे, हमारे पास नहीं, उससे ज्यादा आपके पास होते हैं, बड़ी गाड़ी में आते हैं और कहते हैं कुछ दान दो। तो आप सेल्समैन हैं या साधु हैं? ऐसे हमको किसी ने कहा था बॉम्बे में कि आर यू सेल्समैन और साधु? सो यहां प्रभुपाद लिख रहे हैं कि हमको उनको कृष्ण कॉन्शियस देने के लिए जाना चाहिए। ये वो कभी भी फीलिंग ना हो कि वी आर गोइंग टू बेग फ्रॉम देम। वी आर बेनिफिटिंग देम बाय यूजिंग देयर hard earned money in the service of Krishna, which they will be benefited by them. ये कैसे आपको करना है कि वो दें और खुशी खुशी दें, आपको भिखारी भी न माने और उनको कृष्ण भावना में रुचि हो जाए। सो हमारा प्रचार पे जाने का, प्रभुपाद जी वृंदावन में क्लास दे रहे थे। प्रभुपाद ने कहा, नेवर लुक इन द पॉकेट ऑफ ए पर्सन कमिंग टू द टेम्पल, व्हाट ही विल गिव यू। Look into the heart of a person that he has come to the temple, so you give him Krishna consciousness. अगर वो एक बार कृष्ण का हो गया तो सब कुछ दे देगा। आप कुछ मांग के उसको कंजूसी क्यों कर रहे हो? आप उसको कृष्ण दे दो। वो आया मंदिर में है, इसका मतलब उसका कृष्ण से कुछ तो he has some attachment to God, therefore he has come. तो आपकी उस अटैचमेंट को बढ़ा दो ना, यू टेल हिम अबाउट दैट। फिर प्रभुपाद ने कहा, मनी इज बाय प्रोडक्ट ऑफ प्रीचिंग, मनी इज बाय प्रोडक्ट ऑफ प्रीचिंग। ये साधु के चरणों पे लोग डाल के जाते हैं। और फिर प्रभुपाद ने कहा, आई हैव स्टार्टेड द मूवमेंट विथ 40 इंडियन रुपीज, नाउ आई हैव मिलियंस ऑफ वर्थ प्रॉपर्टी ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड। Why? Because I preached. मैं पैसा मांगने नहीं गया था, मैं प्रचार करने गया था, तो अपने आप बाय प्रोडक्ट है, मनी आ गई। हम किसी के घर कुछ लेने नहीं जाते, उसको देने जाते। इसको कहते हैं वी हैव टू गिव एसोसिएशन, नॉट टेक देयर एसोसिएशन। हमको अपना संग उनको देना चाहिए, और उनके पास जो है उसको भगवान की सेवा में लगाना चाहिए। So sannyasi is not a beggar. He want to enlighten the householders. If they are giving some donation, भी शब्द जो पेटी मंदिर में लिखी है इसके ऊपर डोनेशन शब्द नहीं लिखना चाहिए। भगवान कोई भिखारी थोड़ी है, लक्ष्मीपति, सभी तो इससे मांगने आएंगे। इसका नाम है प्रणामी। प्रणाम करके कुछ भेंट भगवान को चढ़ानी चाहिए। डोनेशन बाहर रखो, जहां फुटफॉल लाइफ है, भाई गरीबों को खिलाने के लिए डोनेशन ठीक है। साधु को भी डोनेशन नहीं दी जाती है, दक्षिणा दी जाती है। उसको दक्षिणा कहते हैं, डोनेशन नहीं। डोनेशन तो गरीब के लिए है, लाचार के लिए है। भगवान के लिए या साधु के लिए डोनेशन नहीं है, भेंट है, दक्षिणा है। तो ये लैंग्वेज टर्मिनोलॉजी चेंज हो जाती है बिल्कुल। सो नेक्स्ट वर्स, तस्मिन् निर्मनुजे अरण्ये पिप्लो उपस्थिते आश्रितः आत्मात्मानमात्मस्थं यथा श्रुतं अचिंतयन्। अब नारद की अनुभूति है, तस्मिन् निर्मंजने अरण्य, उस जंगल में जो बिल्कुल एकांत वाला था, कोई आदमी नहीं था, विदाउट ह्यूमन बीइंग, निर्मनुजे, कोई आदमी नहीं था वहां, नो ह्यूमन बीइंग। पीपल उत्पले, पीपल के पेड़ के नीचे बैठ गया, आस्थिति। आत्मा आत्मानाम आत्मस्तम, अपने मन को आत्मा के ऊपर केंद्रित किया। कैसे किया? यथाश्रुतम, जैसे मेरे गुरुजनों ने मुझे सिखाया था। अचिंतन, बैठ के चिंतन करने लगा भगवान का। ये नारद अपने मेडिटेशन के लिए कहां बैठा, कैसे बैठा, वो बता रहा है। चक्रवर्ती पाद लिखते हैं, एट द बेस्ट ऑफ ए अश्वत्थ ट्री पीपल उपस्थित, in the manner I had heard from the medicants yatha shrutam, not surpassing the meditation, using mantra given, using my intelligence atmana, I contemplated Paramatma Atmanam, who was situated in my mind and who resided there permanently because I had developed prem. इसका मतलब उसने जैसे बताया था उसके गुरुजनों ने, वैसे हृदय में भगवान का ध्यान किया, और नारद के हृदय में भाव भक्ति का स्तर उत्पन्न हो गया था। श्री प्रभुपाद लिखते हैं, one should not meditate according to one's own personal whims. One should know perfectly well from the authoritative source of scriptures through the transparent medium of the bona fide spiritual master by proper use of one's trained intelligence for meditating upon super soul dwelling within every living being. कितनी बातें प्रभुपाद एक सेंटेंस में कह गए। गुरु से सीखे जो शास्त्र में है वो, और फिर अपनी बुद्धि का भी उपयोग करें, और भगवान जो हृदय में है उसका ध्यान करें। तो शास्त्र आ गया, गुरु आ गया, बुद्धि का उपयोग भी हुआ, निर्णय कर लिया, तब दिस कॉन्शियसनेस इज फॉर्मली डेवलप्ड बाय डिवोटी हु हैज रेंडर्ड लविंग सर्विस unto Lord by carrying out the order of spiritual master. Shri Narji contacted bona fide spiritual masters, served them sincerely and got enlightenment rightly. Thus he began to meditate. तो लाड चिंतन करने लगा, तो क्या हुआ? ध्यायतश्चरणाम्बोजं भाव निर्जित चेतसा औतकंठाश्रु कलाक्षय हृदयासीन में सनई हरि। ध्यायतस, जैसे मैंने ध्यान किया, किसका? चरणाम्बुजम, इसका मतलब भगवान के चरणों का, इसका मतलब भगवान के रूप का। भाव निर्जित चेतसा, भाव भक्ति के स्तर के ऊपर, निर्जित चेतसा, माइंड ट्रांसफॉर्म इनटू ट्रांसफॉर्म लव फॉर द लॉर्ड। भाव निर्जित चेतसा, चित्त, मेरा चित्त, प्रभुपाद ने चित्त को लिखा है मन, विलिंग, फीलिंग। मेरा मन भाव विभोर हो गया। औतकंठ, उत्कंठा हुई, आंखों में आंसू आए, अश्रु, कलाक्ष, आंखों में आंसू आए, इसका मतलब अष्ट सात्विक भाव उत्पन्न हो गए। आंसू आना, कंप होना, गला रुंध जाना। हृदय आसीन, मैंने हृदय के अंदर बैठा हुआ, मैं शनई हरि, आस्ते आस्ते हरि को देखा। इसमें चक्रवर्ती पाद ने 2-3 चीजें अच्छी लिखी है जो आपको याद करनी चाहिए। As soon as I began to meditate upon the Lord's feet of personality guarded with my mind transformed in transcendental love, tears rolled down from my eyes, and without delay, the personality guarded Sri Krishna appeared on the lotus of my heart. पर शनई को नहीं लिखा है प्रभुपाद। शनई मीन्स स्टेप बाय स्टेप। चक्रवर्ती पाद क्या लिखते हैं, देखिए, स्टेप बाय स्टेप। I meditated in the mind, हृदय, with the mind, चेतसा, conquered by prem, bhava nirdita. The Lord step by step made his appearance before me. Or Shanai gradually can mean that first he appeared in the heart, and then he appeared in the 3 functions of the mind. और क्या है 3 फंक्शन? नोज, ईयर एंड आईज। नोज का मतलब भगवान के चरणों में लगी हुई तुलसी का सुगंध सूंघने को मिला। कान का मतलब भगवान के आवाज सुनने को मिला, और आंख का मतलब भगवान का दर्शन किया। तो यहां लिखा क्या है, देखो जरा ध्यान से। फंक्शन ऑफ द माइंड, नोज, ईयर एंड आई, सो दैट आई कुड एक्सपीरियंस द फ्रेग्रेंस ऑफ हिज बॉडी, Lord's body, sound of his ankle bells, and the beauty of his face. What happened to me? I had tears in my eyes because of longing. ये माइंड के ये 3 चीजें कैसे हैं बताइए जरा। मन के फंक्शन, ईयर, आई एंड नोज, कैसे? ऑब्जेक्ट माइंड के ऊपर कैसे ये सेंसेस, ये बात कर रहा हूं। 15वें अध्याय गीता का श्लोक है एक। मन के ऊपर ये सब सेंसेस होते हैं। श्रोतम, चक्षुस्पर्शनम, रसनम, घ्राणम एवच मनश्चाय अधिष्ठानम। ये मन के ऊपर ये सेंसेस ओरिजिनल है, इसका मतलब मन में ये ओरिजिनल सेंसेस है। ये तो सेंसेस के डब्बे हैं, दे आर बॉक्सेस ऑफ द सेंसेस। ओरिजिनल सेंसेस माइंड के, और ये सेंसेस माइंड साथ ले जाता है। तो माइंड के अंदर जो सेंसेस है उसमें इन 3 चीजों की अंदर में अनुभूति होती है। चक्रवर्ती पर श्री प्रभुपाद लिखते हैं, द वर्ड भाव, इसमें प्रभुपाद का तात्पर्य है पूरा आदो श्रद्धा से लेके प्रेम तक। The word bhav is significant here. The bhav stage is attained after one has transcendental affection for the Lord. इसका मतलब क्या? भाव अफेक्शन के बाद आएगा मतलब आसक्ति. The first initial stage is Sardha. The increases linking one to associate with the pure devotee, sadhu sangha. Third stage is called practice prescribed rules and regulation, bhajan kiya. This will dissipate all the sort of misgivings, anartha nivarti, and all personal deficiencies that hamper progress in the. When all misgivings and personal deficiencies are removed, there is standard faith in transcendental matter, nishtha. And the taste, ruchi, is increased in greater proportion. This stage leads to attraction, asakti. And after this, there is bhav, a prior stage of unalloyed love, prem. All the above different stages are but different stages of development of transcendental love. Being so surcharged with transcendental love, there comes a strong feeling of separation, which leads to 8 different kinds of ecstasies. Ashta, Satvik, Bhav. Tears, इसको क्या कहते हैं? अष्ट सात्विक भाव. ये शरीर में प्रकट होते हैं भाव के स्टेज पे. Their tears from the eyes of the devotee are an automatic recreation. And because Srinath Muni in his previous birth attained that stage, very quickly after his departure from home, it was quite possible for him to perceive the actual presence of Lord, which is tangibly experienced by his developed spiritual senses without material change. Hare Krishna. ठीक है? It's okay. अब नारद का क्या, ये सेक्शन भी पूरा होने वाला है. अब दिखना बंद हो जाएगा भगवान, फिर भगवान बोलना शुरू करेंगे. प्रेमाति भरा निर्भिना पुलका अंगो अतिर निर्वणा निवृत्तः आनंद संप्लवे लीनो नापश्यनुभ्याम मुने. O Vyasdev, at that time, being exceedingly overpowered by feeling of happiness, every part of my body becomes separately enlivened. नाक में सुगंध भगवान के चरणों से उठने वाली तुलसी की आने लगी, कानों में भगवान के जो पायल थी उसका आवाज आने लगा, और हर सेंस मेरा स्पिरिचुअली सरचार्ज हो गया भगवान को कि जो है अंगों का आंखों से दर्शन होने लगा. तो every sense was separately enlivened. Being absorbed in an ocean of ecstasy, I could not see both myself and my Lord. अपने आप आंखों में आंसू आ गया, ना मैं अपने आप को देखा ना भगवान को देख सका. My limbs covered in distinct goosebumps. इसका मतलब पुलकावली हो गई. Out of excessive prem, filled with the delight, I fainted out of bliss. अब मैं मूर्छित हो गया. ये भी आज सात्विक भाव है, लाइक होना. मूर्छित हो गया, and could not see myself or Lord. और मूर्छित हो गया. मूर्छित भी एक सात्विक भाव में आता है. His limbs were covered with distinct goosebumps because of excessive prem. इसका मतलब नारद जी को रोमांच हो गया. This indicates that all his limbs developed the symptom of prem at that time. The phrase can also mean that he was covered with goosebumps erupting so much that the prem was difficult to bear. He then fainted out of bliss. Anand samplave leena. Lay ho gaya. I did not see myself for the Lord. Ubhayam. कोई पढ़े प्रभुपाद जी का तात्पर्य पढ़िए.
Spiritual feelings of happiness and the intense ecstasy have no mundane comparison. Therefore, it is very difficult to give expression to such feelings. You can just have a glimpse of such ecstasy in the words of Sri Narada Muni. Each and every part of the body or senses has its particular function. After seeing the Lord, all the senses become fully awakened to render service unto the Lord, because in the liberated state, the senses are fully efficient in service of the Lord. As such, in the transcendental ecstasy, it so happened that the senses become separately enlivened to serve the Lord. This being so, Narada Muni has Muni lost himself in seeing both himself and the Lord simultaneously.
So all these senses, actually the whole process of devotional service is to purify our senses. इसको कहते हैं भूत शुद्धि। जब पुजारी मंदिर में भगवान की सेवा करने जाते हैं तो बाहर पहले भूत शुद्धि करते हैं, तो उसको प्रोसेस को भूत शुद्धि कहते हैं। मतलब मैं शरीर का ये अंग नहीं हूं, अपने आप को आचमन करके प्यूरिफाई करके, तो प्यूरिफाइड सेंसेस से भगवान को सेवा की जाती है। तो प्यूरिफाइड सेंसेस से नारद ने भगवान का दर्शन किया, तो सेंसेस आर प्यूरिफाइड। एक भूत शुद्धि का मंत्र चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने दिया है, मालूम है क्यों, कौन सा है मंत्र का नाम है भूत शुद्धि ना, वो पवित्र अपवित्र पवित्र अपने आप को पवित्र करने का है। ना हम विप्रो न ब्रह्मपति, मैं ब्राह्मण नहीं हूं, न वनस्पति न वानप्रस्थी हूं न गृहस्थी हूं। कौन हो? गोपी भरत हो पद कमल और दास दास अनुदास। मैं ब्राह्मण क्षत्रिय वैश्य कुछ नहीं हूं, मैं भगवान श्री कृष्ण के गोपीनाथ के दासों का दास हूं। ये हमारी भूत सिद्धि। ये रोज ऐसा विचार करके फिर भगवान के नाम जपने में बैठना हो तो भूत शुद्धि करके बैठना चाहिए, कॉन्शियसनेस चेंज करनी चाहिए। तो नारद का ये सारा शरीर ही रोमांचक हो गया और सारी इंद्रियां शुद्ध हो गई, और शुद्ध इंद्रियों से भगवान का अनुभूति करने लगा, और उसमें इतना तल्लीन हो गया कि मूर्छा हो गया और अपने आप और भगवान को देखना बंद हो गया। रूपम भगवतो यत्तं मनः कांतं सुचापं अपश्यन् सहस उतत्ते वैकल्व्यः दुर्मना एव। और उस पर देखना बंद हो गया तो क्या हुआ? The transcendental form of the Lord as it is satisfy the mind's desire, and then once erases all mental incongruities. Upon losing that form, I suddenly got up. Being put up is usual when one loses that which is desirable. तो भगवान के दर्शन के दो लाभ कौन से हैं इसमें बताइए? एक तो डिस्ट्रॉय ऑल लेमेंटेशन। ये वर्ड क्या है? रूपम भगवतो यत्तम मनः कांतम सुचापहम। मन कांतम, मन की सब कामनाएं पूरी करने वाला है, और सुचापहम वेनिशिंग ऑल डिस्पेरिटी, मन को आनंद देने वाला है और दोष निवारण करने वाला है। मन भगवान का दर्शन ये दो काम करता है, और जब नहीं दिखता है तो भगवान का की जुदाई का दुख होता है। तो भगवान को देखने के दो भाग है, भगवान के रूप के देखने के भाग दो हैं, मन कांतम सुचापहम। श्रील प्रभुपाद का पर्पट है, लॉर्ड इज नॉट फॉर्मलेस, is explained by Narad Muni, but his form is completely different from all from our material experience. For the whole duration of our life, we go on seeing different forms in the material world, but none of them is just apt to satisfy the mind. Nor can any one of them vanish all perturbance of the mind. प्रभुपाद देखो श्लोक के दो शब्दों के ऊपर तात्पर्य लिख रहे हैं। दो शब्द जो भगवान के दर्शन से लाभ होता है, उन दो शब्दों के ऊपर तात्पर्य है। हम किसी को देखते हैं, ये दो तो कभी लाभ नहीं होते। These are the special feature of transcendental form of the Lord, and one who has once seen that form is not satisfied with anything else. No form in the material world can any longer satisfy the seer. और कोई एग्जाम्पल आ रहा है भगवान कि दर्शन मात्र से सारे पीड़ा दुख समाप्त हो गया।
बाहर ऑफिस में जाते दिन भर इतना फ्रस्ट्रेशन हो जाता है, शाम में जैसे आरती में आते बिल्कुल मतलब फुल मन शांत हो जाता है।
बाहर दुनिया को देखते हैं दुखी होते हैं, भगवान को देखते हैं सुखी होते हैं। और एग्जाम्पल कोई है भगवान को देखने से सब पीड़ा चली गई? भीष्म पितामह, सारे शरीर में बाण लगे हुए थे, कृष्ण का दर्शन हुआ, वो बाणों का दर्द समाप्त हो गया। वहां प्रभुपाद तात्पर्य में लिखा है ऐसा कभी नहीं हो सकता है, देखो कैसे हो गया। और इतना बड़ा प्रवचन सोए सोए दे दिया। और दूसरा इसमें क्या लिखा है, एक बार जिसने भगवान का रूप देख लिया फिर किसी और रूप से वो संतुष्ट नहीं होगा। एक कभी कहानी रामानुज संप्रदाय के धनुर्धर की आपने सुनी होगी। वो लड़की के साथ देखता हुआ जा रहा था, किसी ने कहा इतनी सुंदर दिख रही है, एक बार भगवान का दर्शन किया तो फिर कितना बड़ा भक्त बन गया। तो एक बार जो भगवान का झलक देख ले फिर दुनिया का कोई सुंदरता उसके सामने अच्छी नहीं है। ये धनुर्धर वाली कथा इफ यू कैन रिमेम्बर, तो वो कथा है इसमें। एज ए स्पिरिचुअल बीइंग having eternal relation with the transcendental form of Lord, we are life after life searching after that form of Lord, and we are not satisfied by any other form of material appeasement. Nard Muni got a glimpse of this, but having not seen it again, he became perturbed and stood up all of a sudden to search it out. What we desire life after life was ardent by Nard Muni. And losing sight of him again was certainly a great shock for him. अब वो नारद प्रयास करेगा दोबारा, वही मंत्र पढ़ेगा, वही पूजा करेगा, लेकिन भगवान दिखाई नहीं देंगे। इसका मतलब क्या है? प्रभुपाद जी लिखते हैं मैकेनिकली भगवान को देखा नहीं जा सकता। भगवान अपनी कृपा से किसी के सामने प्रकट, स्वयं स्पर्धे अधम, चाहे तो अपने आप प्रकट हो जाए, हमारे साधन से नहीं। भगवान प्रसन्न होगा तो आएगा, ये आएगा। अब नेक्स्ट, I desire to see again the transcendental form of the Lord, but despite my attempt to concentrate upon the heart with eagerness to view the form again, I could not see him anymore, and thus dissatisfied, I very much aggrieved. There's no mechanical process to see the Lord, Prabhupada said. It completely depends on the causeless mercy of the Lord. We cannot demand the Lord to be present before our vision, just as we cannot demand the sun to rise whenever we like. Analogy. The sun rises out of his own accord, and so also the Lord is pleased to be present out of his causeless mercy. One should simply await the appropriate opportune moment and go on discharging his prescribed duties, devotional service of the Lord. Narad Muni thought that the Lord could be seen again by the same mechanical process which he was successful in the first attempt. But in spite of his utmost endeavor, he could not make the second attempt successful. The Lord is completely independent of all obligations. He can simply be bound up by the tie of unallied devotion. Nor is he visible or perceivable by our material senses. He pleases being satisfied with the sincere attempt of devotional service, depending completely on the mercy of the Lord. ये लाइन है प्रभुपाद जी लिखे हैं, ये श्लोक है। कौन सा? He can simply be, हाँ, nor is he visible by or perceivable by our material senses. नाम प्रकाश सर्वस्य, ये श्लोक नहीं है। यहाँ श्लोक अभी मैंने कहा था थोड़ी देर, न भवेत ग्रह इंद्रिय, क्या है? सेवानुमुख जीवत, ये बात है। पहली लाइन क्या है? अत श्री कृष्ण नाम आदि न भवेत ग्रहण इंद्रिय। भगवान श्री कृष्ण के नाम रूप को इंद्रियों से ग्रहण नहीं किया जा सकता। जीवानुमुख ही भगवान का नाम जीवा से लेंगे, भगवान प्रसन्न होगा तो अपने आप प्रकट हो सकता है। ये श्लोक है जिसको प्रभुपाद ने लास्ट पैराग्राफ में पैराफ्रेज किया है। अब देखो लग रहा है ना, When he pleases, being satisfied with the sincere attempt of devotional service, Jivado, depending completely on the mercy of the Lord, Swam eva spurde adha. He may be seen out of his own accord. Swam spurde adha. ये श्लोक है, ठीक है। एवं यतनम विजने माम आहो गोचरो गिराम गंभीर सलक्षण्या वाचा शुच्चः प्रशमयम् एव। अब भगवान का रिस्पांस, ये नेक्स्ट सेक्शन शुरू हो रहा है। Seeing my attempt in that lonely place, the personal Godhead, who is transcendent to all mundane description, spoke to me with gravity pleasing words just to mitigate my grief. एवं यतनम विजने, यतनम मीन्स आई वाज एंडेवरिंग, यतन कर रहा था मैं, प्रिया। विजने, भगवान ने जब देखा उन एकांत के स्थान में, माम अहा गोचरो गिराम, मेरे को जब देखा, अहा भगवान ने कहा, अगोचर, भगवान जो हमारी इंद्रियों से परे है, रेंज ऑफ फिजिकल साउंड, अगोचर। गिराम, गले से आवाज निकला। गंभीर, बहुत गंभीर था। सुलक्षणया, सुनने में बड़ा मधुर था। वाचा, शुच हो, मेरे शोक को, मां शुच, शुच माने शोक, मेरे शोक को प्रशमयम, नाश करने के लिए था। चक्रवर्ती पाद लिखते हैं, लॉर्ड इज बियॉन्ड द डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ द वर्ड्स, ग्राम अगोचर। शब्दों से भगवान को वर्णन नहीं किया जा सकता। एज स्टेटेड बाय श्रुति, यतो वाचो निवर्तन्ते, द लॉर्ड फ्रॉम whom words written without attaining him, मतलब भगवान को शब्दों से पाया नहीं जा सकता। तैत्तिरीय उपनिषद, द लॉर्ड हु कैनॉट बी अप्रोच्ड बाय वर्ड्स स्पोक टू मी। आई हैड एन एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ हिज स्वीट साउंडिंग वर्ड्स by my ears, because now there is bhakti arising from the vedic sadhan. नारद है वैदिक साधन भक्ति का उदाहरण। He had realization of sweetness of Lord's fragrance, beauty and speech in his present body. इसका मतलब नाक, कान और आंखें, जो पहले कहा था। The complete experience with all other type of sweetness, touch, taste, etc. would be experienced in the future in his spiritual body, सिद्धदेह। इसका मतलब नारद जब अभी साधक की बॉडी में था, प्रैक्टिशनर था, बच्चा था मेड सर्वेंट का, उस वक्त उसको उतना ही अनुभव हुआ। जब सिद्धदेह बाद में प्राप्त हो गई, जो अब है, उसमें तो भगवान को हाथ भी लगा सकता है, बात भी कर सकता है। तो साधन देह और सिद्ध देह का वर्णन है। साधन देह नारद की थी जब वो दासी पुत्र था, और सिद्ध देह उसकी अब है। By this his sweet words, the Lord removes all types of lamentation and suffering which had arisen by not seeing him. The word if somewhat is used because his love and longing caused by separation had not been fully satisfied. In Vedas, it is said that Srila Prabhupada writes, God is beyond the approach of mundane words and intelligence. वही जो श्लोक दिया है श्वेता उपनिषद में, वही प्रभुपाद ने यहाँ दिया। भगवान हमारे भौतिक शब्दों से परे है। And yet, by his causeless mercy, one can have suitable senses to hear him or to speak to him. This is Lord's inconceivable energy. One upon whom his mercies bestows can hear him. The Lord has much pleased with the Nard. Lord was much pleased with the Lord Nard Muni, and therefore necessary strength was invested in him so that he could hear the Lord. और किसी ने भगवान को सुना है बिना देखे? हाँ जी, दुर्वा महाराज ने सुना, कहां देखा था आंखों के सामने। बिल्वमंगल की आंखें नहीं थी, भगवान का हाथ पकड़ लिया था ना। ब्रह्मा जी ने तेने ब्रह्मा हृदय, ब्रह्मा जी जब गया क्षीर सागर पे, भगवान को देखा नहीं, सुना। जो ब्रह्मा ने कहा वो ब्रह्मा जी ने सुना था। और नारद का पिता है, उसने सुना था, उसके बेटे ने भी सुना, देखा नहीं। पहले देखा फिर देखा नहीं, सिर्फ सुना। और भी कोई सुना ऐसे भगवान की वाणी? साक्षी गोपाल तो चल के चले गए पीछे, पानी सुनना। ब्रह्मा जी का एग्जाम्पल है। अब प्रभुपाद जी वही साधन और सिद्ध भक्ति कैसे लिख रहे हैं, देखिए चक्रवर्ती पाद के भाव को। So that necessary strength was invested in him so that he could hear the Lord. It is not, however, possible for others to perceive directly touch of the Lord during the probationary stage of regulative devotional service, mana sadhan bhakti. It was a special gift of Nard, for Nard. The sadhan mein bhi usko dikhai diya. When he heard the pleasing words of the Lord, the feeling of separation was so were to some extent mitigated. The devotee in love with God feels always the pangs of separation and is therefore always enwrapped in a transcendent ecstasy. So सिद्ध देह की बात प्रभुपाद ने लिखी है, साधक देह की बात लिखी है। साधक देह में भी नारद को जो अनुभूति हुई वो सामान्य लोगों को नहीं होती। और चक्रवर्ती पाद ने सिद्ध और साधक देह दोनों की बात लिखी। हन्तास्मिन् जन्मनि भवान् मां दर्शितुम् इहारति अविपक्वः कषायाणां दुर्दर्शो अहम क्व योगिना। ये भगवान ने वाणी में कहा, क्या कहा? अब दोबारा तुमको इस जन्म में मेरा दर्शन नहीं होगा। यू विल नॉट सी मी अगेन। हंता अस्मिन, हंता है हे नारद, प्रिय। हंता शब्द जो है चक्रवर्ती पाद क्या लिखते हैं? ओ हंता, एड्रेस मेड आउट ऑफ अफेक्शन। अपने कोई प्रिय है उसको कहते हैं हे मेरे प्रिय हंता। I regret that during this time you will not see me again. हंता अस्मिन जन्मनि भवान, इस जन्म में भवान आपको, मां न माम नहीं, मां का मतलब नहीं, माम दर्शुम एरति, इस जन्म में फिर तुम्हारे को मेरा दर्शन नहीं होगा। क्यों नहीं होगा? अविपाकव, अब कच्चे हो, पूरे पक्के नहीं हो। अविपक्व, पक्के हुए नहीं हो, मैच्योर नहीं हो। दूसरा कषायाणाम, अब कुछ आपके अंदर, कषायाणाम का प्रभुपाद ने अर्थ क्या लिखा है? मटीरियल डर्ट, कुछ अभी तक भौतिक सतोगुण का प्रभाव है। वन में मुझे ढूंढ रहे हो, सब जगह नहीं हूं क्या? मैं तुम्हारे हृदय में नहीं हूं क्या? वन में क्यों ढूंढ रहे हो? और फिर सिद्धांत बता रहे हैं, दुर्दर्शो, बहुत मुझे देखना मुश्किल है। किसको? कुयोगी नाम, इनकम्प्लीट इन सर्विस, प्रभुपाद लिखते हैं। जो योग्य नहीं है, सेवा नहीं, भक्ति करते हैं, उनको वो मुझे नहीं देख सकते। व्हाट डिड ही से, क्या कहा भगवान ने वाणी में? दिस इज एन एड्रेस, हंता, प्रेम से स्नेह से कहा, इन दिस बर्थ हैविंग द बॉडी ऑफ ए प्रैक्टिशनर, क्योंकि साधक की बॉडी में हो, साधक के शरीर में हो, यू कैन नॉट सी मी, आई एम इनविजिबल, दुर्दर्शन। टू दोज फॉल्टी प्रैक्टिशनर ऑफ योगा, कुयोगी नाम, whose contaminations such as lust have not been burned up. Jiva Goswami mentioned that some person purify themselves but remain with satogun and thus are attached to living in the forest. ये है और थोड़ा सा अपक्व और कषाय में। जीव गोस्वामी कहते हैं वन में ही क्यों भगवान को ढूंढने गए? कैसे भगवान सब जगह नहीं है क्या? अपने अंदर में भी तो है ना। इसका मतलब अभी तक ये थोड़े से कच्चापन था, भौतिक मोड ऑफ गुडनेस का इन्फ्लुएंस था, वो भी तो भौतिक है। द इंटेंशन हियर इज टू से बट आई शोड माई सेल्फ टू यू, देयरफॉर यू आर नॉट ए फॉल्टी प्रैक्टिशनर। एक बार मैंने आपको दर्शन दिया, इसका मतलब तुम सही रास्ते पे हो, अब साधन पूरा कर लो। श्री प्रभुपाद परपट थोड़ा बड़ा परपट है मेरे ख्याल में। इसके बाद हम गायत्री का ब्रेक करते हैं, ये परपट पढ़ के, ठीक है। The personality of God is described in Bhagavad Gita as the most pure. कहाँ लिखा है? The supreme and the absolute truth कहाँ लिखा है? हाँ, ये तो नहीं है मोस्ट प्योर। In Bhagavad Gita it is written that Supreme Person of Godhead is most pure, the absolute, supreme and the absolute. परम ब्रह्म परम धाम पवित्रम परमाम भवाम पुरुषम शाश्वतम आदि देवम अजम विभु, वो श्लोक हो सकता है, ये वो श्लोक है। There is no trace of material changes in his person, and thus one who has the slightest taste of material affection cannot approach him. क्योंकि भगवान पूर्ण है, शुद्ध है, तो जो पूर्ण शुद्ध नहीं है वो भगवान को अप्रोच नहीं कर सकता। The beginning of devotional service starts from the point when one is freed from at least two forms of material modes, namely the mode of passion and ignorance. पहले रजो और तमोगुण से ऊपर उठना पड़ेगा। The result is exhibited by the sign of being freed from काम and लोभ। ये कहाँ से लिखा है? आप पढ़ के आए हैं इसी भक्ति वैभव के कोर्स में, दूसरे अध्याय में। नष्ट प्रायेषु अभद्रेषु के बाद में क्या है? कौन है? काम लोभ आदि चले जाते हैं। कब रजोगुण और तमोगुण चले जाते हैं तो उनके सिम्टम है काम और लोभ चला जाता है, फिर सतोगुण में स्थित हो जाता है, फिर सतोगुण से आगे बढ़ के शुद्ध शतोगुण में जाता है, फिर उसके हृदय की ग्रंथि खत्म हो जाती है, फिर उसके कर्मों के सारे वासनाएं खत्म होती है, और फिर उसका तीसरा थर्ड वन हृदय ग्रंथि कर्मास्यम और संशय क्षय हो जाते हैं। आत्मनि दृश्य, ये पूरा जो भक्ति का प्रक्रिया है दूसरे अध्याय में वो लिखा हुआ है यहाँ। पहले रजो और तमोगुण गया, कब? जब भक्ति शुरू की, नित्य भागवत सेवा क्या। अच्छा, भागवत में रुचि कैसे होती है? सुनने से। महत सेवया, भगवान के प्यारे भक्तों की सेवा करने से। और भक्तों की सेवा क्या है? भक्तों की सेवा क्या है? हाँ जी, भक्त की सेवा और क्या आदेश का पालन करना, हरि कथा सुनना, हरि कीर्तन करना, भक्त के संग में हरि कथा। बोधयंत परस्परम कथ्यंतस्य माम नित्यम, ये है भक्त के संग का अर्थ। बोधयंत परस्परम कथ्यंतस्य माम नित्यम तुष्यंति च रमन्ति च, ये भक्त के संग की परिभाषा है। मच्चिद्दा मदगत प्राणा, मेरे ही चिंतन में रहते हैं, मेरी कथा नहीं करेंगे तो प्राण निकल जाएंगे। ऐसे भक्तों का संग भागवत में रुचि उत्पन्न करता है। That is to say, one must be freed from the desire for sense satisfaction and averse to the sense gratification. लोभ और मोह, काम चला गया। The balanced mode of nature is goodness. And to be completely free from all material changes, to become free from the mode of goodness also. To search the audience of God in a lonely forest is considered to be mode of goodness. ये नारद की कमजोरी कि अभी तक भी प्रकृति के गुणों के प्रभाव में है। ये उसका कश्मल है, वो जो मटेरियल ड्रट है, कच्चापन है। But that does not mean that one can see the Lord personally there. One must be completely free from all material attachment and be situated on the plane of transcendence, which alone will help the devotee to get in personal touch with the Supreme Personality of God. The best method is that one should live at a place where the transcendental form of Lord is worshipped, मतलब temple. ये कहाँ लिखा है? 11th canto of भागवत लिखता है, तमोगुण के व्यक्ति नशे के दुकान के पास रहता है, रजोगुण का व्यक्ति मार्केट के बीच में रहता है, सतोगुण का व्यक्ति फॉरेस्ट में रिवर के किनारे रहता है, तीनों गुणों से परे मम निकेतनम, मेरे मंदिर में रहता है। जो मेरे मंदिर में रहता है वो तीनों गुणों से परे है। ये 11th कैंटो भागवतम में लिखा है कि रमो तमोगुण वाला कहाँ रहता है, रजोगुण वाला कहाँ रहता है, सतोगुण वाला कहाँ रहता है और गुणातीत कहाँ रहता है। तो ये प्रभुपाद ने गुणातीत मंदिर में रहता है जहाँ भगवान का विग्रह हो। The temple of Lord is transcendental place, whereas the forest is materially good habitation, वो गुडनेस में है, सतोगुण वाले वहां रहते हैं। इसलिए हिमालय सतोगुण में है, वृंदावन सतोगुण से नहीं, वो है मम निकेतन, भगवान का घर है। प्रयागराज ने सब तीर्थों को बुलाया कि मैं राज है, सब आओ, मैं राजा हूं। वृंदावन गया ही नहीं, शिकायत की कृष्ण से कि सब तीर्थों का राजा बनाया, वृंदावन नहीं आया। भगवान ने कहा तीर्थों का राजा बनाया, मेरे घर का थोड़ी बनाया तेरे को। वृंदावन तो मेरा घर है, तो तुम इसके लिए तुम्हारे पास क्यों आएगा? तीर्थों का राजा हो, मेरे घर के राजा तो नहीं हो। तो ऐसे इसका अर्थ है कि भगवान का घर तीनों गुणों से परे है। A neophyte devotee is always recommended to worship the deity of the Lord, Archana, rather than go to the forest to search out the Lord. Devotion service begins from the process of Archana, which is better than going out in the forest. In this present life, which is completely freed from all material anchoring, Sri Narada Muni does not go into the forest, although he can turn every place into the Vaikuntha by his personal presence. He travels from one planet to another to convert man, God, Kinnar, Gandharv, Rishi, Muni, and all others to become devotee of Lord. By his activities, he has engaged many devotees like Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, and many others in the transcendental service of Lord. A pure devotee of Lord therefore follows the footstep of great devotee like Narada and Prahlad and engage his whole time in glorifying Lord by process of kirtan. Such preaching process transcends to all material qualities. What Prabhupada is saying is, when we are neophyte devotees, we should stay in temple. When we become transcendental like Narad, like Sri Prabhupada, then we can travel to New York and other places and can also enlighten those people. So, नारद जो है जा सकता है कहीं भी इस बॉडी में, उस बॉडी में जाने की जरूरत नहीं थी। मेड सर्वेंट की बॉडी में शुड नॉट हैव डन लाइक दैट, मंदिर में रह जाता तो अच्छा था। सो नाउ वी हैव ए ब्रेक। हरे कृष्णा। This is a material change, is a good mode of goodness. A mode of goodness है। हाँ भाई इसको बंद करो, गायत्री कर ले। हरे कृष्णा। हाँ क्लास कंटिन्यू। क्लास कंटिन्यू करेंगे ये चैप्टर। हाँ